Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, maybe not too close, to the June 6th, 2024 meeting of the, keep going, Committee of Adjustment for Strathroy-Caradoc. The municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges that it is located on Treaty 21 territory. We are thankful to the generations of people who've taken care of this land, including the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, the Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the Oneida Nation of the Thames. Before we get started, I'm going to turn it over to Eva Baker, our acting secretary treasurer, to take us through the rules of engagement.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Eva Baker. I'm the Acting Secretary Treasurer for the Committee of Adjustment. I will be hosting the meeting and managing participants. Committee members joining us this evening include Member Kumar, Member Vian, Member Pelkman, Member McGuire, Member Derbyshire, and Member Kennis, who is also our chair today. Member Terpstra is absent this evening with notice. Municipal staff in attendance this evening are Jennifer Huff, Director of Building and Planning, Aaron Besh, Planner with the County of Middlesex, and Melanie from the Legal and Legislative Services team. I would like to acknowledge at this time we have 4 individuals in attendance in person this evening and 3 participants joining us virtually. Tonight we have 4 applications to be heard by the committee. The chair will introduce each application and provide the applicant and agent an opportunity to speak to the application. The planner will follow with their report. The public will then be invited to make comments or ask questions about the application. The chair will then call upon the committee to ask questions and make comments before the chair calls for a vote on the application. Once a decision is made, there is a 20-day appeal period from the date of decision for minor variances and 20 days from the date of notice of decision for consents. If anyone wishes to be notified of the decision, you can make a request today or make a written request following this meeting. For our virtual participants, please ensure your name is visible on Zoom video, and we ask that you keep yourself muted until it is your turn to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. First item is roll call, and all members except Chair Terpstra, who's absent with notice this evening. Item number 2 is the approval of the agenda for this evening. Can someone please make a motion to approve the agenda? The Deputy Mayor.
I also have a question after second.
Certainly. Deputy Mayor, Committee Member Vian.
So, my question, and it might take some time to find the answer, but when we're sitting here, council, and I'm being referred to as Deputy Mayor in here, should we be referred to in the minutes as all members?
Yeah.
But in the minutes, I'm referred to as Deputy Mayor McGuire, and for instance, it would be.
Yeah. So yes.
So should we correct that?
I'm not sure. I think it's for me, it's force of habit to call you councillor or deputy mayor.
And like it's not. Yeah, it's not that. It's for the purposes of the minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess technically we're all committee members, right? Of the Committee of Adjustment. I'm not sure.
Perhaps Melanie could take it back to Legal and Legislative and determine.
If you prefer, I'll make an attempt to remember to call you all committee this evening. We'll give that a try. I know we've done that in the past, so yeah, we'll give it a try. It's my mind doesn't work that fast, so it's that's where I stumble over it. So anyway, the agenda. Any other questions on the agenda? All in favor of approval? And that's carried. Item number 3 is declaration of pecuniary interest. Anyone with a pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, which is minutes of the May 2nd, 2024 meeting. Can someone make a motion to approve the agenda? Committee Member Vian, Committee Member Pelkman. Any questions on the minutes?
So just back to my other question. If there needs to be an amendment to here to correct that we're members and not holding some sort of designation by council, can that be made after, if we approve the minutes? Because the minutes are basically correct, it's just the title that we're being given.
Yep. We'll get a ruling on that
Yeah.
before the next meeting too.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the agenda? Or not the minutes? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, there are 4 items for consideration tonight. The first one is 5.1. It's an application for consent at 124 Burns Street in Strathroy. The owner of the property is a numbered company 1706000 Ontario Inc., which is Dwyer Homes. I believe Michelle and Michael Dwyer are on Zoom tonight representing the applicant. I'm not sure if you're there or wish to make any comments before we start the presentation, but if you do, please do so. Hearing none.
They've unmuted, but hearing.
No, I'm here tonight, thank you.
Okay. So any comments you want to make before we have our presentation? Maybe I don't have my mic on, that's the problem.
Thank you all.
Okay. So we will turn it over to Erin Besh to make the presentation.
Thank you very much, Chair. So again, the first application before committee this evening is for 124 Burns Street in Strathroy. The purpose of this application is to sever one lot from a larger residential parcel to facilitate the construction of a semi-detached dwelling, with each unit being on a separate lot. The property is approximately 715 square meters in size and has approximately 18.1 meters of frontage along Burns. The property currently contains a dwelling that the applicant intends to demolish. They have a demolition permit in our building department as well for that. The property is connected to municipal water and sanitary services, and it does contain an access onto Burns Street. They are proposing to sever the lot exactly in half, with each parcel to be 357 square meters in size and a frontage of approximately 9 meters. This application, again, the applicant intends to construct a semi-detached dwelling. The units would have individual garages and a shared driveway onto Burns Street. In support of the application, the applicant has provided a plan of survey which depicts the lots to be severed and retained, as well as a footprint of the structure as well. So I do note that the property is currently zoned R1, or low density residential zone. In order to facilitate this semi-detached dwelling, the applicant will have to apply for a rezoning application. And I have included that as one of the recommended conditions of approval this evening. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. The manager of environmental services advised that each unit needs to be individually serviced with water and sanitary connections. The director of building and planning advised that infill development such as this does help achieve our housing affordability challenge and supporting a key strategic item that the municipality has identified. The application would also require a cash in lieu of parkland for $1,000, which is standard on any new lot creation. The Middlesex County Safety and Standards Officer also required that one of the lots be given a new municipal address, and that can be determined by the municipality and the County of Middlesex through the conditions of consent. So I've analyzed the application based on our provincial standards, county official plan, and local official plan. I am satisfied that the proposal is appropriate. There are existing semi-detached dwellings in R2, similar R2 lots in the immediate vicinity. The applicant has demonstrated through the survey that aside from the deficient lot frontage of 9 meters, whereas 10 meters is required in the R2 zone, they have these lots, or the structure can be easily accommodated on the property, meeting all provisions, including setbacks and lot coverage, amenity space requirements, and parking. So I am satisfied that with the inclusion of the rezoning condition, that this consent is appropriate. So my recommendation is approval. Subject to the 15 conditions that I have outlined in my report that are all standard new lot creation conditions, except for number 5, which is the requirement for the rezoning, and number 6, that the existing dwelling be demolished and all debris removed from the subject lands to the satisfaction of the municipality. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Any comments from the applicants at this point? All right, thank you. I know there's a group here live with us who wish to speak on this matter. I ask you to identify yourself, I guess your relation to this property, and any comments that you'd like to make. Yep, please.
Sure. My name is Mary Ann Williams. This is my husband Lyle Williams. This is Miss Rhonda Booth. We are all the backyard neighbors to this proposed property.
Can we get you to move
Sure.
over to that microphone there so that everybody can hear?
Thank you. Forgive me, this is my first time public speaking, so.
No, that's fine.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mary Ann Williams. That's my husband Lyle. We reside at 186 Adelaide Street. We're here tonight to discuss our concerns with the developer and town council in regards to the building located at 124 Burns. I'm here to address these concerns on behalf of the 3 backyard neighbors, ourselves, Chuck Weatherby, who's at 184, and Ms. Rhonda Booth. Firstly, we have no idea the structure that's going on here. Is this a single story, second story units? How many units are going in here? We're kind of being kept in the dark. So we would kind of like to see a mock-up or a blueprint or something to identify what structures are going up. Some of the issues that we do have concerns with is if they are 2-story. Character of the neighborhood. The built form of the neighborhood should be considered to see whether it exhibits a reasonably uniform building period in style or design, scale, and spacing. As I'm sure everyone is aware, this is an old neighborhood, and as such, there have not been any new developments in the area except for 162 Burns. New development should be compatible and respect the established physical character of the neighborhood. Proposed developments which may be considered out of scale, out of character, inappropriate, destabilizing the character of the neighborhood, a break in the pattern or continuity of the street, visually incongruous or detrimental to the streetscape should be discouraged and objected to. As residents of this town, we should be able to rely upon the municipality's former zoning policies, and it is a breach of trust when they are diminished. Light and privacy. Sunlight. If these are 2-story units, shadowing is an issue. Shadowing is the result of overbuilding and an insensitive increase in the mass, height, and bulk. From our understanding, these dwellings are to be 2-story units. That's the rumor that we've heard. We've not heard from the builder to confirm or deny. So therefore, it'd be blocking out the late day sun for us. All 3 backyard neighbors have pools. We would enjoy the late day sun so that we can enjoy our backyard, predominantly our pools. Privacy. 2-story units will provide a degree of discomfort for the 3 adjacent backyard neighbors by allowing visual intrusion with views into our bedroom windows. All 3 of us, our bedrooms are in the back of our yards. And overview of gardens and private family areas such as our pools and backyards. Once demolition of the existing unit and construction of the new dwelling begins, us 3 adjoining sites will suffer the loss of our backyards and pools due to construction noise, dust, and workmen. How is the developer going to ensure that the adjacent neighbors will retain their right to privacy during that time? Trees. This issue here is the impact on neighboring properties from the loss with respect to screening, shade, and greenery. How many more trees are to be taken down? They've already removed some. Traffic. traffic and parking. Larger residential multi-unit buildings will inevitably result in more occupants, with developers attempting to accommodate more vehicles on site, creating problems with automobile easements and parking, with visual impacts on adjoining yards and streetscapes. How is the developer going to minimize the problem of overflow parking without encroaching on the neighbors and potentially causing issues at the stop sign of Burns and Adelaide? Fencing. We assume the developer will be replacing the existing fence on the property. Our concern is the developer not taking care while doing so as to not damage the 3 adjacent neighbors' fence, as we all have pets. It is our understanding that they've already knocked down a section of fence from the neighbor on Kiefer Street, in which they were left to repair it. They also cut a post on Miss Rhonda Booth's property, which left a section of unattached fencing. Our question is, how high is the proposed fence going to be? We are all aware of the existing building is full of mold and asbestos. We are aware of the process of asbestos abatement, but how is the developer addressing the issue of the mold? And those are basically all of our issues that we have to date. We do appreciate you guys taking the time to consider our concerns, and we hope that we can maintain a very happy relationship with the developer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Not sure whether, Aaron, you have any comments to make, or whether we ask the applicant if they have any comments to make on the concerns raised.
Sure, through the chair to the committee, I can certainly understand the residents' concerns. Absolutely, anytime there is infill development, these very same concerns are raised. The only thing that I can really comment on, a lot of this will be, something for perhaps the developer to respond to in terms of fencing and tree protection and things of that nature. But in terms of the structure itself, I mean, at this point, with the lot that it is now, the applicant could remove the existing home and build a 2-story structure as it stands today. I'm certainly, sympathetic of the privacy concerns and that, but we don't, zone for height for 2nd stories, unfortunately. In terms of parking, the applicant has accommodated the parking that is required under our zoning bylaw. There are garages for each of the units, as well as driveways for each associated unit. I think that's pretty much what I can comment from my end.
So really, other than the property being changed to an R2 to allow 2 units on it, there's nothing that couldn't be done, as you said, if they were building a new, taking the home out and replacing it and wanted to build a 2-story home on the property. Okay, and just it is they are 2-story units that they are proposing. Just to clarify that.
I will defer to the applicant
Okay.
to confirm that.
Okay, that's just reading on the map. You're right. We should get the word from them directly. So, Michelle, if you have any comments you'd like to make, we certainly appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. Our objective is certainly to kind of keep neighbors happy and to do everything upright and in the standards of the municipality. With regards to, there's a few highlights that I would like to make, and yes, it is a 2-story city. The structure is going to be demolished. We're just going on excavating and that kind of thing to take care of that, which should in turn take care of any mold issues that you're concerned with. Everything is going to be totally gone from there. So we're hoping that will not be any concern in the very near future. With regards to dust and debris, we will do our absolute best to keep everything kind of congested within the developing lot. yeah, as best as we possibly can. With regards to the fence, I don't know if there's any information on the fence. I know that like some of the structures that were already nearby were kind of somewhat connected to the fencing, so maybe perhaps when they dismantled those structures, that could have been a potential issue there. But at any rate, if there's anything that's damaged, of course, we will certainly make sure that that's up and in a very well provided structure. And that would note as well, if there's a fence that's falling or needs to be fixed or whatever, then we would take full responsibility and make sure that that is taken care of. With regards to the trees that have been removed, we did get approval from the municipality before we removed any trees, and they did not have a problem with it at the time. And like part of Strathroy, we want to make sure that our neighbors are happy with what we're doing as well, and we'll try to do our best to keep a relationship with anybody that's touching this 124 Burns.
Thank you, Michelle. Comments from committee members and any questions? Committee member McGuire.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just say, we hear constantly the provincial policy statement. We hear the province talking about new sources of housing, different styles of housing. This represents a different style of housing than perhaps is there now, but certainly is compatible with Strathroy-Caradoc as a whole. And in fact, two of the neighbors I see that are on Adelaide appear to be in either a linked home or look probably more like a linked home than a duplex itself. But this is a fully serviced road for infrastructure, and intensification is the name of the game these days, and that's exactly what is occurring here, and probably getting rid of a house that shouldn't be standing any longer. So it's fitting everything that we're being told we need to be doing as a community.
Any other comments from committee members? Seeing none, the recommendation is that the application for consent 2024 be approved with the 15 conditions that were outlined by Aaron. Committee member McGuire, seconder, committee member Derbyshire. All in favor? And that's carried.
Shortly following this meeting, a notice of decision will be issued, at which point the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or prescribed public body can appeal the decision made by the committee by making an application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeal has been made following the 20 days, the consent declaration will be issued. Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to item 5.2, which is an application for consent B6 2024 at 2601 Queen Street in Mount Bridges. The owner of the property is Elizabeth Browning, and I believe Elizabeth is joining us by Zoom. Elizabeth, do you have any comments you'd like to make before we begin the presentation? Hearing none, we will turn it over to Aaron.
Thank you, Chair. The next application before committee this evening is 2601 Queen Street in Mount Bridges. This application has been before the committee previously, and we even spoke about it at our most recent committee meeting as well. So the applicant is proposing to sever a new lot within the settlement area of Mount Bridges, and for the intention of constructing a new single detached dwelling. The subject lands are approximately 2,458 square meters in size. There's an existing residential dwelling on the property, which is to remain on the retained parcel, which is serviced by municipal water and sanitary services as well. So again, this application was previously heard by the committee and was granted approval. This application also came with a minor variance to address the deficient lot frontage of the severed lot. The committee voted to waive the fees of this resubmission as this application the applicant was unable to fulfill all of the conditions due to some sort of question as to how much what the cost of the connection to the municipal services was going to be along Main Street. So now we see the application coming forward for a decision. We don't need to bring a subsequent minor variance forward. The one that was previously approved does carry forward in this case. So the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. We did not receive any additional comments versus the last time that we did this process. However, I do want to clarify that the Senior Development Coordinator advised that all conditions from the previous application have been met, minus, I believe, the connection to the hydro. I think the hydro pole needs to be relocated. But he did provide clarification to conditions 9 and 10, which was based on a request by the applicant's solicitor, and that was just to add the second sentence for 9 and 10, which says, for clarification, connected to means a service is installed and available at the property line of the severed lands that is connected to the municipal infrastructure under the right-of-way. Again, no changes to the conditions that were proposed, same except for those two minor amendments, and condition 1 has been slightly amended. When the application was previously approved, we did not have a fee for our consent certificate. However, we do now, so I have amended condition number 1 to include the certificate be issued within 2 years of the date of the notice of the decision, and the consent certificate fee is paid to the municipality. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. So really, we're just being asked to reapprove consent that we previously approved.
I can certainly delve more into the policy and my analysis of the application. My previous recommendation is withheld in this
Okay.
case.
All right. Any questions from members?
Thank you, Chair. 2593, is it on municipal services now that Queen Street's been reconstructed? And if not, is there sufficient room for them to complete that task using the driveway that they currently have?
Through the chair to committee member McGuire, so that's something maybe we can come back to you to confirm. I don't have servicing details in front of me for who connected. My assumption is that that did in fact case, but I don't want to say 100% until I double check that with environmental services.
Any other comments? If there aren't, then the recommendation is that we approve this application for consent B6/2024 with the 14 conditions that have been outlined. Someone make the motion. Committee member Peltman, seconder committee member Kumar. All in favor? That's carried.
Shortly following this meeting, a notice of decision will be issued, at which point the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or a prescribed public body can appeal the decision by making an application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeals have been made following 20 days, the consent declaration will be issued.
Thank you. Next, we move on to 5.3, which is an application for minor variance A12-2024 at 7791 Scotchmere Drive. The owners of the property are Dennis Peckham and Erica Fertney. I believe Dennis is with us tonight. Any comments before we begin?
I'm good.
All right, so we'll turn it over to Aaron.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this next application is to provide relief from section 4.42 to permit a cumulative floor area of all accessory structures of 269.1 square meters whereas 107.8 square meters is permitted given the size of the existing dwelling. This application also requests relief from section 4.25 to permit a height of 6.5 meters, whereas a maximum height of 4.5 meters is permitted for residential accessory structures. So this application would facilitate the construction of a 148 square meter shed in the rear yard of the subject property. The applicant has advised the purpose of the structure is for personal vehicular storage and like personal property maintenance equipment and that sort of thing. This property is approximately 1.5 acres in size. There's about 68.5 meters of frontage along Scotchmere. The property has an existing dwelling with attached garage and an existing driveway off of Scotchmere. So this proposed structure would make use of that existing driveway and not require a second driveway on the property. So the structure itself would have, as I said previously, would be, what did I say? 148.7 square meters in size. The applicant was already over their sort of 80% rule for the attached garage, but the garage was constructed prior to the establishment of our bylaw, so it's deemed to be legal non-complying. So this new structure would be just adding to that sort of overage that they already have. The entirety of the property is regulated by the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, but they did advise that they had no concerns with the application, but they will require a permit for construction of the building, and that can be done at time of building permit. The Director of Building and Planning advised of no comments on their application and requests our standard stormwater management condition, as the structure will be in closer proximity to the side yard lot lines. It will not be closer than what is permitted in the zoning bylaw. It will just be, so my analysis of the 4 tests of minor variance, I took a look at the context of the property. It is fully surrounded by agricultural fields. There is quite a bit of trees and vegetation on the property. The structure, although it is proposed to be higher than the existing house, it will be set back further from the road and tucked into the rear yard. So that will make, if you're on the road looking at the structure itself, the perspective of or the difference in height will be less of an impact as it is set back further. So my recommendation this evening is approval subject to the condition that stormwater management be dealt with on site without negative effects on adjacent properties to the satisfaction of the municipality. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Anything you want to add, Dennis?
Nope. All good.
Committee members, any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, the recommendation is that the application for minor variance A12-2024 be approved, subject to the following condition, that stormwater be dealt with on site without negative effects on the adjacent properties to the satisfaction of the municipality. Would someone make the motion? Committee member Pelkman, seconded by Committee member Bayan. All in favor? And that's approved.
From today, the 20-day appeal period will begin. During this time, either the applicant or a prescribed public body can appeal the decision made by the committee by making an application to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If no appeals are made following the 20 days, the minor variance declaration will be issued.
Thank you. We move on to our last application, 5.4 on the agenda, an application for minor variance A10-2024 at 732 Regent Street in Mount Bridges. The owners of the property are Robert Mason and Janet Pride. Representing them tonight is their agent, Travis Sherma, who I believe is on Zoom.
He's not joining us.
Oh, he's not joining us. So no one's here to speak on it, so Erin, take it away.
Thank you, Chair. So this last application before the committee is proposing or is seeking relief from section 4.26A of the zoning bylaw to permit a 26 square meter pool cabana and 10 square meter shed that are 1.9 meters from the exterior side lot line, whereas the bylaw requires accessory buildings to be located no closer than the main dwelling, which in this case is 6.2 meters. The application is also requesting to permit the shed to be located in the exterior side yard, whereas the zoning bylaw limits accessory buildings to the rear or internal side yards only. The subject property is approximately 813 square meters in area with 21.1 meters of frontage along Regent Street and 38.6 meters along Bond Street. There is an existing single detached dwelling with an attached garage. The dwelling itself has a ground floor area of approximately 122.4 square meters, an attached garage that is approximately 42.6 square meters in size. With these two structures, the total lot coverage would be about 28%, which is well under the 40% that is permitted in the zoning bylaw. I also note that I calculated the 80% for accessory structures, and they're well under that as well. So with the addition, the applicant has recently applied for a pool permit in the rear yard of the subject lands. And in addition to the pool, they are looking to build a partially enclosed pool cabana and mechanical shed with water closet. The pool cabana would be technically in the rear yard, so that does not require a variance, but the shed is proposed to be in the exterior side yard, which just means it's between the house and the exterior lot line. And then sort of the second piece to the application is to permit both of those structures to be located closer to the exterior lot line than the house itself. The application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. Director, Building and Planning indicated no concerns with the application as long as our stormwater, as long as stormwater is dealt with effectively on site and with no negative impact on the neighboring properties. I have not received any public comments or anything on this application. My analysis of the 4 tests, the property itself, we have seen a number of these actually quite, in this subdivision itself. People are looking to make the most use of their property. As the rear yard is going to be fully enclosed with a fence because of the pool, it really, the impact on Bond Street is going to be very minimal. That's kind of why we have those provisions for the exterior side yard, is to ensure that if, we take concern with the frontages along, or the streetscape along Regent Street, in similar fashion, when we have a corner lot, we are concerned about the streetscape along Bond Street. However, because the property backs onto a stormwater management pond, there is no break in the streetscape in this case. The structures will also be buffered by the fence that is proposed. So with this application, I am recommending approval, subject to the condition that stormwater be dealt with on site without negative effects on adjacent properties to the satisfaction of the municipality. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Any comments, concerns, questions from committee members?
I guess the only question I would have is, if this was not a corner lot, we wouldn't be having this discussion at all.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, the recommendation is that the application for minor variance A10-2024 be approved, subject to the following condition: that stormwater be dealt with on site without negative effects on the adjacent properties to the satisfaction of the municipality. Someone would make that motion. Committee Member McGuire, seconded by Committee Member Kumar. All in favor? That's carried. That brings us to number 6 on the agenda, inquiries by members. Any inquiries from anyone? Committee Member Pelton.
Not that it has anything specific to the committee, but there's 3 infill projects in the last little bit. I think we can probably expect to see a lot more. So we better get the answers ready about what we are and are not allowed to refuse.
Yeah, certainly. got a call yesterday about one, and many probably got the same call. There's certainly a lot of interest in it, but again, I think we're just, we've encouraged infill, and so people seem to be taking us up on that, and also, it's opportunities that there on some of these big old lots that's starting to happen, and so. Any other comments or inquiries? Okay, we'll move on to number 7, which is the schedule of meetings. The next meeting of this committee is set for Thursday, July 4th at 5:30, and there's a meeting set for Thursday, August the 1st at 5:30 as well. That brings us to item number 8, which is adjournment. Would someone make the motion to adjourn? Committee member Peltman, Committee member Derbyshire, all in favor? And that's carried.